Hey, it's Tom from tdjacobs.com. Welcome to another video on crystals. I've been thinking about this particular topic quite a while, and it's kind of an overarching thing related to all the crystals that I do. I noticed a few months ago, I started to notice that most of my posts on my work page on Facebook, Evolutionary Astrology and Channeling with Tom Jacobs, were about energetically charged crystals. And I said, yeah, Evolutionary Astrologer. Right? People are finding me a lot of times because of astrology and then a channel, right? And channeling with Tom Jacobs. And I am a channel. I do energy work. And so I realized I wanted to kind of offer a statement on why I'm doing so much, focusing so much of my time and energy on energetically charged stones and crystals. And I was able to I gave a couple of sentences a few weeks ago on that work page, but then this morning on a walk with my girlfriend, I was able to fully articulate it. So I wanted to record this video. So the idea is that you are an energetic being. You are consciousness that exists across time. Your brain has told you that you are it. So you go about your business, sorry, there's a hair here, it's really annoying. So you go about your business, living your life, intending to do things, making choices, but you are governed in many ways by unconscious vibrations. You are an energetic being, a consciousness that exists across time. So you can decide to do something differently. You can decide to make a choice that's healthier. You can stop saying this, you can start thinking that, you can do all those things. And yet at times, the unconscious pull of fear and the unnoticed pull of habit can wreak havoc on your great intentions. So what is needed is an energetic interruption or an energy interruptor. So that's how kind of I think of it. That's what the crystals are. At least the way that I charge them, they're intended, every one of them, to function that way. So you might find my work and say, oh, he does affirmations. Let me learn that from him. And then say, oh, he does evolutionary astrology, karmic multi-life astrology. Oh, and he's got these new ideas on Pluto. Oh, well, all these asteroids and these different things about the mythic process and how we live the stories of mythological figures in our lives and how to process through archetypal blah, blah, blah. You can do that. You can learn everything I teach you. But you can still, God bless you, with the best intentions, be stuck in a pattern or a habit because your mind is relying on habits or you are replaying old vibrations that just can't serve you, but it's habit. So having an energetically charged crystal for me interrupts your habit. It interrupts what your mind thinks is happening and the reasons that your mind has ascribed to why things have happened in the past. In my personal experience, well, let me say this. I only offer stones that I've worked with personally. So sometimes people have said to me, hey, why don't you offer this stone? Because it's really useful for this. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's great. But I don't understand that stone, or I don't have a healing path that I can use that stone to trigger. So I'm not going to have a website that is a clearinghouse for a bunch of different kinds of crystals and stones. They're all useful in their own their own ways. But for me, it's really about a specific process that I experience and I go through, and then I can do what I can to articulate different possibilities and what to expect, and then energetically charge the stones for a particular purpose to achieve a certain goal, and then offer them to you. So recently there were 9 up on my site, and I was prepping Larimar as a 10th one, but then I got sidetracked. And then I realized that the onyx, the shivalingam, so anyway, now there are 7 up there. And I'm hard at work doing other things behind the scenes to bring back onyx and other ones. But that number will change because it's what I can consciously work with. I think shivalingam on my site don't sell because I don't work with it all the time. The reason I don't work with it is because it's too intense. It's Metatron. It's very intense. Some people need it, but I can't deal with it all the time. So anyway, recover my train of thought, get it back on the rails. So you can have the best intentions, and you can learn what teachers, what books, what websites say about making changes. But if you don't interrupt your habits, if you don't interrupt the patterns and the unconscious drives, then you may not feel successful. You may not actually get somewhere, or it may be a very long and slow slog. You know, one example is with all these crystals that I offer. You know, every stone, you know, sea jasper, Orlite 23, like they all do their own thing. They all have an effect, and their structure and the materials, and often the colors, the combination of those things, will relate to certain energetic pathways and open something, close something off, stimulate this, you know, take away that. Every stone does that. And this is, you know, think about, these are pieces of the earth that the earth is offering us to work with in order to evolve. So it's pieces of the earth. They will naturally have an effect over time. The way I'm energetically charging them, it's boosted. And in about half the stones, maybe more, it's added to. It's added to. The best example was labradorite, which was a featured crystal for May. And in the video here, done a week or two ago, I describe how the way that I charge them is different. But anyway, you can check that out. But anyway, all stones will have an effect, but having them energetically charged will interrupt the normal way that you do things. So tiger iron is a great example, because tiger iron is, and it's kind of like the basic stone that I offer, the flagship stone that I offer. I want everybody to start with tiger iron unless they have done a great deal of work on their lower three chakras, grounding, getting in the body, working on first chakra stuff, family, community, ancestry, nation stuff. Second chakra, relationships, give and take, money, sexuality, energetic flow between people. And third chakra, self-esteem, and making the right kinds of choices for yourself and overcoming guilt, shame, regret, and self-doubt. I recommend people work with that, because mostly in spiritual circles, we're not taught to go down into the body, but we're taught that spirituality is in the upper chakras, but then we're ungrounded and we're flaky. And so the way that the tiger iron is charged, it will disrupt, it will interrupt if you have avoided or cleverly tried to work around an unresolved issue from one of those lower three chakras from the past. Like if you said, well, yeah, my family was the way it is. Yeah, okay, I'll deal with it. And you think that is moving on. Getting an energetically charged tiger iron piece from me will stir that, because you have to come to an empowered, forgiving place. So anyway, it's easy to think that we make progress because we change some thoughts, but notice when something good that you're doing is actually derailed by a part of you that needs to say something negative. In the way that I work, that's okay and that's normal. Like that's fine, because you have to hear the different parts of you in order to be able to work with them and move on, to integrate them and to have their concerns released or healed. But think about how that can throw you. Essentially, you're in one vibratory state, and then a part of you speaks, and you get knocked off course into another vibratory state. Because you are an energetic being, a consciousness that exists, that bird is extremely distracting. It's like it can't ever get enough attention. It's got something in Leo. It's got Pluto in Leo. No, it's too young to have Pluto in Leo. It's got something in Leo. As an energetic being, everything's about vibration. But as I alluded to earlier, you don't know that because you think you're your brain, and your brain has decided that it's not about vibration. It's not about energy, and it's not about consciousness. But I can tell you now, after years of, a lifetime of observing myself, but over the last about 13 years of really kind of hardcore observing myself and noticing what frequencies I'm generating and why, and what parts of me are happy or unhappy, and why they take over when they do. This is the core of the human experience in general, is to learn how to manage emotions. But right now, in this period we're living in, it's absolutely imperative that we do so. Since the end of the Mayan calendar a few years ago, the veils between dimensions are gone. So your past life crap is up, louder, and needing more attention now. Whatever you may have been dealing with under the surface for many, many years is now on the surface, and you cannot avoid working with it, which means feeling it with the opportunity of resolving it. So when I work with these crystals, they interrupt the normal process. So I'll just give you one example from my own story. I talk about myself in these videos and in teaching all the time, and sometimes I get a little self-conscious, but I know that some of the stories can be helpful to some people some of the time, so I'll risk it today. I have Pluto and Venus in the 12th house, and in my natal chart in Libra. And one of the things that can denote, as Pluto is the empowerment journey that one undergoes over many lives, it can denote that I'm trying to figure out how to trust life. In the 12th house, the house of everything, all that is, trying to find divinity or God or spirit or something like that. And Pluto says, I'm empowered when I trust, but there are lots of stuff that are going to make me not want to trust and feel disempowered. And that Pluto-Venus conjunction is actually square, the midpoint is square Jupiter and Capricorn in the 3rd. So one of the things that I noticed about myself over the entire course of my life after about the age of 10 or 11 or 12 or something, I noticed that I always have something critical to say. So if I'm stressed or frustrated or have an emotional thing about Pluto-Venus in the 12th, it's squared to Jupiter, words may come out, thoughts may come out. In Capricorn, they may be critical, they may be know-it-all, something like that. I have a terrible fear about being a know-it-all. I endeavor to know things so that I can understand, but I do sometimes have that fear. Well, I notice now in my life, the more that I work with crystals, specifically with the Auralite 23, that you're going to hear I'll see if I can do the camera. You're going to hear a lot about it from me in June, because it will be the featured crystal in June. So I'll be doing a lot of teaching and blogging about it. Here's a different example of the larger piece that I slept with for months last year for quite a long time. Looks like, it looks primarily like amethyst, and it is primarily amethyst, but it's got metallic inclusions. You can see a little bit of the discolor. Yeah, you can see a little bit of discoloration there. At the seam, it looks a little red or orange, and these are metals that are in there that change it, change the properties. So working with this, you one of the features in my experience I've noticed is being able to let negativity be and just proceed. Just say, well, sure, part of me has a negative thought, but not identify with it, not get stuck in it, and not vibrate it. Meaning, yeah, my mind says stuff. And so the last few weeks, I've intentionally been reconnecting with the Auralite 23, sleeping with it again, taking it for walks, sitting in the sauna with it, really spending a lot of time with it, even sitting here doing a video, holding two pieces, in my hand, to really connect with the vibration, because I'm really interested in leaving behind some of my negativity. Well, part of me is conditioned to respond to things in a critical way. Now, there's nothing wrong with noticing facts and details and that kind of way of being critical. But being negative and poo-pooing things and raining on parades just because you're dissatisfied about something, that attitude, that doesn't serve me. I don't want to do that. Well, I know that doesn't serve me. But I'm conditioned over many lives to lose faith in life, God, the universe, other people, and start being critical and being down on things. That's my conditioning problem. So what I'll do is I'll go to sleep. The last couple of weeks I've been sleeping with this one in my left and this one in my right. I go to sleep, I wake up, they fall, I pick them up again. Then in the morning, I put them aside, and it feels great. It feels awesome. I put them aside, and I'm like, yeah, time to wake up, have a glass of water, whatever. And then something happens, and part of me goes, negative stuff, never that. So I pick them up again, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Part of me wants to be negative, but I can let that go. So that's a part of me. I can't really let it go, but I can use these crystals to interrupt the habit of relying on that as who I think I am. I know for years, I thought that's who I thought I was. That part of me can be really funny and sarcastic and sardonic and really biting, a cutting wit, a biting wit. But I don't want to generate that negativity. So the more I've worked with these crystals over the last few years, the more that I get tuned into what I'm vibrating. What frequency am I vibrating? Is this positive or negative? And sometimes, you know, I'm going through something emotionally difficult and I'm not going to be positive. I don't want to be. And that's fine, because we have to process. We have to listen to these parts and process. But there's a difference. There's a very important difference between seeing that we're being negative and saying, oh yeah, part of me has a negative thought right now, versus being it. Letting that part be in charge or take over. There's a vast difference. So I encourage everyone to listen to these parts of us, but not let them run our lives. I have to hear this dissatisfied, unhappy, critical part. I have to hear it. But I don't have to have it be, you know, the representative of me and my entire being out in the world. Okay, so anyway, energetic interruption. Stopping the pattern. That's why I'm doing all of these crystals. I could give you a million affirmations and you could earnestly do them daily for the rest of your life, and they will work. But parts of you will want and may do consistently pull you out of higher vibrations, more honest with yourself, more loving, more truthful. And so that's why I work with all these crystals. If you have trauma that affects you, because some people have trauma and they've worked through it, and it's not, you know, some people have a trauma in this life, but they don't have multiple lives of trauma. You know, if you have a trauma, that will get in the way. And there'll be some stuff on that in June with the Oralite 23 about trauma, so you can stay tuned for that. Stuff I've been developing, strategies for healing trauma. If you have not necessarily, you know, you wouldn't call it trauma, but if you have abuse, if you have rape, if you have somebody constantly putting words in your mouth that makes your self-esteem in the toilet, if you have a history of getting fired from jobs, or if when you were a kid your parents said, we don't love you, pain, anything that keeps you from being open and loving may continue for years of the rest of your life to make you not open to being open and loving. So we have to interrupt who we think we are, and these pieces of the earth vibrate different pathways in our consciousness open. Sometimes I feel like a pharmacist or apothecary because I make prescriptions for stones for people, given certain issues and certain things that are happening in particular chakras and in life experience and what they believe is happening, what they, you know, what they're open to and what they're not open to. This is a really useful way to work with crystals. I feel really honored to have the opportunity to learn this stuff. I use it almost every day in my own life, and I'm devoting a lot of time and energy to teaching you about it too. So, you know, whatever your block is, maybe there's something I have that can help you. But realize that those patterns, those long-term patterns, karmic patterns, multi-life patterns, may want or tend to dominate. And this charged crystal or stone can interrupt that domination so that you can insert the positive intention, so that you can let something go, so that you can cease holding on to something from your history as if it could define who you are. You are not the sum of your experiences. Your brain will tell you that you are. You're not what's happened to you. You're not what you've done to others. You're not a choice you made or a choice you avoided making. That's not who you are. You can let that be who you are, and a lot of people on the planet believe these things are who they are. But if you're on a spiritual path and you want to raise your vibration, you want to open your consciousness and increase self-awareness, you want to be kinder, you want to create a better world around you, you want to earn a living doing something that matters to you, you want to have an effect in your community, your friends and family that matters to you, you want to bring out your creative self. Your divine power is in making choices, but these patterns can stop you from feeling free to make the best choices. So again, we need an interruption to the norm, an interruption to the status quo. Thank you for your time and energy. You can check out the available crystals that I have at tdjacobs.com. On the right-hand side of the page, there's a tiger iron that says charged crystals. Click on it. You see the list of what's available. Currently, it's tiger iron, red jasper. Onyx is on the way. I'm excited. I'll do another video about that soon. Sea jasper, pink opal, if I mentioned red jasper, Orlite 23, and maybe there's one I'm forgetting. Anyway, it won't be offended. Thanks for your time and energy. Bye-bye.